Hi, I am Shruti, and in this video we are going to cover how to create forms in HTML. Forms are created in HTML using the form tag or the form element. So let's say we have this form.html and we have this open right here. I'll take a form, and this form contains an attribute which says action. This action actually contains the file which has the backend of this form. So for now, you don't need to worry about action at all. Just add what's there, and there is one more attribute in HTML forms, that is method. So if I say method, then there are two things, the get and post. The get and post methods are actually used for sending the data to the server. Okay, so if I say here get, okay, so the main difference between them is that get method is used to append the data to the URI defined in the action. What we do with the get, we actually append the data to this particular document which is defined in the action attribute. Conversely, if I use the post method here, let's say post method, then the post method attaches the data to the requested body. Okay, if we request a body right here, then it actually attaches the data to that server. So you don't need to worry about this action and method at all, because they are used with the backend. So don't worry about it. For now, you just need to learn about the front end and actually how to get started with the web development. So let's begin with the form. Then inside the form we have, actually you cannot see anything right here, right? Inside the form we have input boxes through which the user can enter the input in that and submit it. So we have input, but with input we have labels. So what to do, right? Let's say we have this label, and this label contains, and this label has a name. Okay, we have labeled something that a name, you can see the name right here, and below this we have the input box. Now this is how we write the input, and it doesn't have the closing tag. It's a self closing tag, and you just write like this. And inside this you have a type of input. What type of input it is? It is a type of text. Here you can see there are all type of inputs, that there are a lot of, so you can learn about these as well, but here we are going to use some of these and I'll show you how this works. So first of all, for the name we have text. We can select the text because name is a text. Okay, and with this you need to add the placeholder, and that placeholder has something that disappears when you write. So I'll say enter your name. I'll save this. You can see the input box is here, and this is our placeholder. When we start writing, this actually disappears. Okay, so this is the label, this is the input. But now, what how this will know that this label is of this input box? So for that we add a for here. This for contains the ID of this input. So I'll take the ID of this input and this for, and this ID would be same. So I'll take name as the for. So we are, this label is for this particular ID. So it shows that connectivity between the label and the input box. So this is how you actually create an input box. Alright. So this is the one example. We have a lot of types. So let's see few more as well. So I'll take this. I'll take this as, let's say, email. Let's take this name as email. I'll save this, and this type text would also be the type of email. Okay, there's also the type of email, and it checks for that if that email is that or not. Okay, but we need that input box below this, so I can just write BR so that we can get it below, and that's how it happens. You have now this. We used BR for that to take it to the next line. Okay, so this is how you actually create a form and add the type and the name of that particular thing. There is also one more attribute in an input box, that is value. Value is that what we enter. Here, suppose I have entered this 4s is the value of this, and the placeholder means something that disappears. So if you want to add the value, I can just say value Shruti and I'll save this. You can see the value is there, and you can just remove that as well, but as you refresh again, this value will be same. So this is the default value that you can add to an input box, but here we are not going to add any value, and we're going to just say this. And now at the end, the form, inside the form we have a button. So what we do is write a button, and we keep this button as the type of submit, because when we click over it we want this submit happen. Okay, so and here we are actually going to write something. So let's say br, so that it appears at the bottom, and with this we are going to write the button value, that is, let's say, submit. All right, so with the name and email, what we're actually doing, we are submitting this form using this type of submit. So this is how it all works. But if I don't enter anything and submit, it submits. But I don't want to do that. I want to say that please fill this. So for that we have required. We can just type required in an input box, and this will actually resist from submitting. So if I submit, it says please fill out this field, and if I fill this out and submit, it says please fill out this field. If I fill this with something, um, if I fill this with something and not like this, just this much, and it says please include an @ sign, so it checks for everything. When you give it a type email, then it checks for that particular email, that format is same or not. But this required is for the front end only. If you want this to be like if you want this to be more secure, then you need to use the backend for that. So that's just a different thing. So for now, just learn about this, that's how you make a form in HTML. Here I have added few input boxes that um, you can also use. So let's look at the meanings of that. So the next one is search. So what search does is it actually searches for that, and here we have given here the placeholder as this weird character that is used for the search icon. Okay, so this is the search icon. Then we have the type of search, so that we can search that. We have the type of tel, that is telephone, this one, and we can enter the phone number here. Here we have the type of date. Here we can just click over it and select any date we want, that would be selected. Here we have the date time. Here we can just go and select the date as well as the time, and it will get selected. Here we have the color picker with the type of color. So if you click over it, you can choose whatever color you want. Suppose I want to choose this, or whatever. Okay, next is choose any image, which has a type of file, and you can just go and choose a file from your this anything, suppose like this. You can choose whatever you want. Just choose the 2.png, then you have the checkbox with the type of checkbox, and you can just click over it and do whatever you want. You have the type of radio where you can do this, and you have the type of range where you can just move this from like a progress bar. Here you have the type of text, but the difference here, let's see, this is not an input box. This is text area. So for this message, you have used a text area and not an input box. And this text area takes in columns and rows. So here we have the columns 30 and rows 5. So that it becomes that box of the text area, right? And then we have the select. This select, we use the select tag, and then we add the option in that. So here if you go, you have two options, true and false, where we have added the value as well, and the options. So you can select whatever option you want, and it will be selected. So this is how you write, this is how you actually create forms and add different fields in that. And as I've showed you that there are a lot of types of inputs and text areas that you can use in HTML in the HTML forms. And for more to learn about forms and to learn about input boxes, what kind of input boxes we can also use, then you can just go to MDN docs and you can just search for that. So if I go here, MDN docs, here we got that details of everything. This is actually the detailed information of everything. If you go to this form, this one, okay, this says the form, and you can see this is having all these categories, the attributes that a form uses, a form submission, the target, the HTML fields at, and browser compatibility. And you can learn a lot about, let's say, inputs. If you go to inputs, you have the input forms and you have input types. So you can see how much are there. There is a lot of input types. You can just learn from this page. This has a detailed information about it, and you can create your own form and just um, and this is what you can do with HTML: create inputs and create the forms. So this is it for this video. See you in the next one.